I am Heather Carter-Tryon, and I do co-coordinate our Philippines adoption program. Our Philippines program is one of our longer running programs. We placed our first child in 1980, and from that time we've placed about 190 kids from the Philippines. The children with special needs in the Philippines, it's a little bit of a different process than some of the other countries. In some countries, and you'll hear this as other folks talk, there's a definition. You know, if a child has this need, therefore they are a child with special needs. The Philippines works a little differently. They have when a family's dossier goes over and is approved, they're added to a roster of approved families. So that's the list that the Intercountry Adoption Board, or ICOB, in Manila maintains of families that have been approved to be matched with a child. So when they receive a child's file, they look at that roster and say, is there a family already on this list that might be a good match for that child? If there's not, that child becomes what's called a child for special home finding. Or in the States, a lot of times we call that a waiting child. So a waiting child isn't defined by necessarily what their need is, it's their inability to be matched with a family right now. What that means is that the needs we see vary pretty widely. To give you an example, we received a group of waiting children in early February. And from that group, the ages ranged from 1-year-old to almost 12 years old. There was 2 sibling groups of 2, although we've seen sibling groups of up to about 4 come through. Most of the kids in the group do have multiple medical issues. So some of the needs that we saw were macrocephaly, microcephaly, cerebral palsy, hearing loss or deafness, some emotional disabilities, oppositional tendencies, limited attention spans, some risk factors like a history of physical or sexual abuse. One of the things that we see a lot in waiting kids from the Philippines is global developmental delays, anywhere between mild and severe. And going back to the medical needs, hepatitis B. Each of those things taken unto themselves, if that was the child's only need, by and large that child would be able to be matched. But most of the kids that we see coming through the special home finding program are kids that have multiple needs, so it makes them a little harder to match. ICOB will send us the list, and then it's our job, like other agencies, to try to find families for the kids. In the last 3 years, we have, keep in mind, our Philippines program is relatively small, but we have placed 4 children from that actual special home finding list, although some of the other kids have come home, would, by United States standards, be defined as waiting children because of their age, because of any number of things. So in the kids that have come home thus far, we've seen children that are waiting children because of their age, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, kids that have vision or hearing concerns, and kids that have risk factors for possible emotional issues in the future. So I guess the message I want to leave you with for the Philippines is that if you're open to a child with medical issues, with developmental issues, there is a possibility to be matched right away, but you can also kind of keep an eye on this special home finding list, and you may be able to find a child that's a good match for your family there. All right.